How's it going, folks? I'm the Punk Historian, and this is Obscure Band Thursdays. And today we're focusing on an old-school California hardcore band called Rat Pack from Santa Barbara. And they got their start sometime in the early 80s, making their first debut on record with a self-titled 7-inch in 1985, which they would not follow up until 4 years later in 1989 with another EP titled Ice Cream, Acid, and Cigarettes, and then a year later in 1990 with a self-titled full-length record. And from what I understand, they were active for a few more years after the LP dropped and broke up sometime in the early 90s. However, there's not a terribly large amount of information online, so I could be wrong about that. And Rat Pack have a very driving, energy-packed take on old-school California punk, featuring both the rabid ferocity of early hardcore and the guitar-driven metal influences that would show up a lot more in the next generation of Cali punk. And coming out during the early 80s in the Santa Barbara Oxnard scene, Rat Pack were, of course, very heavily associated with fellow locals like RKL, Ill Repute, and Aggression. And if you're a fan of any of those bands, there's a good chance you might recognize their name or even some of their songs from some of the comps that a lot of them were featured on together. Though Rat Pack have sadly not retained the same level of notoriety as some of their peers from back in the day, which is a damn shame if you ask me, and I would say partially at least a result of their much sparser release catalog. And if you're a fan of early Suicidal Tendencies, early RKL, Gangrene, DI, JFA, then this is a band I would highly recommend. This has been Obscure Band Thursdays, and I'll see you next week.